Hey everyone, SoranotRoxas here. Good morning. I say this because it's like 9:14 or 9:15 now in the morning and on a Saturday, and I'm up doing a review. I've actually just finished seeing Maleficent, so I thought I would go ahead and do the review on it while it's still fresh in my mind. I actually saw two movies over this week. It was Maleficent, like I just said, and Godzilla. So I am going to also talk about that, but I'll leave that for another video. Okay, so right now we're concentrating on Maleficent. And let me just say, this is the movie where critics wasn't giving it bad reviews. It was more like mixed a little bit. Some critics was like, okay, it was mediocre. A lot of them said, it was bad, and this was acting wrong, and this wasn't going right, and everything like that. Audience did seem to love it. I think it grossed over 745 million, and it only had like a budget of 190 million, I think. Might want to check those numbers, but that's pretty much it. It was a commercial success. That's basically what I'm trying to say. What I think about it personally, I was already, when the first trailer came out, I was already a little skeptical about it. I was actually kind of pissed off a little bit. I was saying to myself that, oh no, they're going to ruin Maleficent's character. I'm a big Kingdom Hearts fan. I love Kingdom Hearts. I've also, when I was a kid, still owned and saw the original Sleeping Beauty Sleeping Beauty from 1959, so you can't compare to that. It not only is it engraved in my childhood, it has that nostalgia veil over it, but it also was, for how stupid it kind of was, it was good. It was a fairy tale movie. It was a full-on fairy tale movie, as fairy tales can get, and a lot of them don't make any sense, and Sleeping Beauty went that way. Something like Cinderella and Snow White also don't make sense. But it's a fairy tale movie, so we learn to accept the things that don't make sense, as well as you have to do with anything that's a fairy tale. So I was really not looking forward to this, and which is why it took me so long to see it and took me so long to review it. I do apologize. I should have got to this much sooner, but there was also other movies coming out at the same time, so I went to go see those, and I didn't pay attention to Maleficent. So, as a critic seeing this movie, what do I think about Maleficent 2014? It's not as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Like I said, I saw Godzilla just like a day before. I just saw Godzilla yesterday. So these two movies are kind of on par with each other, as they both have this feel of, okay, there's some stuff that's doing right, but there's a good bit of stuff that they're doing wrong, or I just can't see myself agreeing with that or going with that, even if in Maleficent's case it's a fairy tale. Now, Godzilla is another story entirely, and I'll get to that in a separate video. But as far as Maleficent goes, there were some changes that I didn't like, and there were some changes that I actually said, okay, it's passable for the most part. And that's pretty much what the movie was. It was passable, and I kind of glad I saw it. Alright, so let's start from the beginning. So Maleficent is... There's actually a truck going by now. It's pretty annoying. Okay, so Maleficent is a fairy, and she has wings and everything, and she's flying sky high, and she's been a fairy all her life. Obviously, she was born one. And where's her parents? Dead. Dead. It's a Disney movie. What do you expect? So one day she meets a thief, and who was trying to steal some jewels from the side of the fairies. Okay, so there's two kingdoms, right? You got the fairy kingdom that they call something else, and I'm just gonna call it fairy kingdom. And then you got the human kingdom. These are the only two kingdoms you know about. They explain nothing else about this world. That's all you need to know. So when somebody like Prince Philip comes along, in the original Sleeping Beauty, you can kind of believe it, because even though that the forest in there was enchanted and everything like that, it didn't really it didn't really bother the humans. And you also had the human kingdom, for the most part. And just like Cinderella, you felt like this world was bigger than that town and that kingdom, and you can kind of say, okay, there's other kingdoms going on like this. And so when it comes to live action, you think that they would possibly say a little bit more, but I guess they didn't want to throw too much information in there. But this is the Games of Thrones-ish, world that we live in now, so a lot of people are expecting a lot. But anyway, besides that, so there's two kingdoms. They don't like each other. One lives in harmony. One is ruled by a king who's just pretty much an asshole. And all the humans are in this movie are pretty much an asshole, or at least they follow an asshole. And, okay, so the king's an asshole. He doesn't like the fairies. The fairies don't bother with them, actually, so I don't know why he doesn't like them. Oh, they're magical, so we're afraid of them. Okay, so you have the fairies, and that's where Maleficent is. Maleficent is the tallest fairy there for some reason. She's the size of a human and pretty much comes off as a human besides the wings and her horns. Okay, why doesn't the other fairies look like that? Don't worry, they can turn themselves into humans, kind of, with magic, but that only happens like once. Anyway, so Maleficent meets this thief, and when she's a little girl and it's a little boy, she tells him, okay, give me back the gem that you stole. He gives it back. She returns it back to the world by throwing it into the river. They basically, a friendship blossoms, and then a romance sort of blossoms between them. They kiss and everything, blah, 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 that whole sort of thing, whatever, whatever. Nice to know the backstory of Maleficent. I don't think we got any backstory on her in the original, and actually that's what made her more awesome, to my opinion. But I did like this backstory. I did like hearing why Maleficent, turned out the way she is and everything. People are comparing this to Wicked, where it's like, oh, I don't know much about Wicked, but they say like, oh, it's that sort of bad guy that isn't really all that bad, and that's exactly what this movie's trying to get across. But anyway, the king is dying after getting into a fight with the fairies, and Maleficent totally kicks his ass as well as the other guys there. All of the creatures from the forest, they come to help out, and they pretty much kick our ass, the humans. And so the king's dying, and he says that, one of you will be my successor because apparently I don't have a queen, although I do have a daughter. Whoever can kill Maleficent will be the next king. So the guy goes and he actually cuts off Maleficent's wings after putting her to sleep with some type of potion. He pretended like he killed her. And that's how he becomes king. And then he has a daughter who names Aurora, and you pretty much know the story from there, and Sleeping Beauty, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so if you're wondering about the boy's parents, they're dead, and he somehow becomes a servant of the king, and that's how he proves to the king by cutting off her wings, saying that I killed her, even though that he didn't kill her. That will come back to haunt him in the end because he kind of goes a little bit crazy, and there's this weird thing with him, and he's nothing like the king from the original, who was pretty much a nice guy for the most part and just want to protect his daughter. This is the new edgy fairy tale. This is the one that's like, oh, this is more for the adults. I prefer the animation, thank you very much. But even with that being said, I do like the backstory. I really do. I think that was possibly my favorite part of the movie. It's when they started getting into, okay, what we know from the animated version, and let's switch it up from there by making the three fairies dumb as shit. Literally, they are the Three Stooges, and they're not funny to me. I'm sorry. It actually, I know I shouldn't look over this where it's like I should compare it to the original one, because it's not. It's doing something. It's trying to do something different. But guys, I really didn't like these fairies. And I love the original fairies, they was funny. Of course, they had the slapstick Three Stooges thing going on, but they was smart at the same time. They literally cared for Aurora. They actually physically and magically took care of her, even if they said like, okay, we shouldn't use magic, they do end up using magic. And I kind of like the little subtlety there of them trying to sneak behind each other's backs and use magic and stuff like that. The Three Fairies was great in the original. Even in Kingdom Hearts, they're portrayed better than this. They are just so dumb, and a little bit too dumb, and I don't character's totally destroyed for me. Sorry. Even as new characters, even if I look over them as new characters, they're still too stupid and pointless. Like, literally. Maleficent ends up taking care of the girl all by herself. There's a part when she's about to walk off a cliff, and the fairies are too busy doing, too busy slapping each other in the face to realize that, hey, Aurora's about to die. This is twice, by the way. One was almost from starvation, and the second one was from falling to her death as a kid. Like, what? Really? Okay, whatever movie. So Maleficent does look after her for 16 years to the point where the girl actually thinks that, oh, Hero must be my fairy godmother, which is actually, was pretty funny. I only got 2 laughs out of this movie, and that was, there was little subtle jokes in there, but there was only 2 parts that I got out of this movie, and that was with Maleficent's reaction to things. The first one was with Aurora first meets Maleficent kind of face to face. She meets her as a little girl, so she's like, oh, you must be my fairy godmother because you was basically almost always there for me. And Maleficent was like, what? And then there's another part when she has an assistant who's the crow. We know the crow from the original, but the crow that she turns into a man, and then she turns back into a crow, and she turns him into different things. She turns him into a wolf. That's the thing. She doesn't transform, but she has the power to transform other stuff. You already screwed up one of Maleficent's powers, okay? Casting the curse, that's fine. Putting the stupid love's true kiss or some, that thing, that was stupid, but that was still part of the original, and it wasn't really explained there either. It's actually explained a little bit better here. And that's the thing. They try to explain this stuff, and there's nothing to explain. This is a fairy tale. I don't need an explanation for this stuff, Just kind of go with the flow a little bit. And I will get to the lesbian subtext in a moment here, because there are some people that was talking about that. And there was this other part when they was actually going to the castle, to the king's castle, so they can help wake up Aurora. The crow is like, okay, we probably shouldn't go in there because we'll never come out again. And Maleficent's like, well, you don't have to go with me. And then he starts talking under his breath, and she's like, I can hear everything you're saying. That was another funny one. That was another one that got me laughing. Also, if you're looking for Maleficent to turn into a dragon, she doesn't. She turns him into a dragon. Disappointing. Okay, so with that being said, anybody who's like a fan of the original possibly might not like this, especially how the way they portrayed their characters. Pretty much Prince Philip is still the same way. Philip has not changed. They do a little twist on the whole love's true kiss type thing, whereas it isn't Philip that gives her true love's kiss. I'm gonna give you a few seconds to think that who actually gives her the true kiss. Go ahead, I'll wait. Are you done? Yeah, you pretty much figure out the whole movie there. Sorry, spoilers. I'm an asshole. What do you expect? But seriously though, the lesbian subtext that's in here that people talked about, it didn't really bother me for the most part because I kind of knew where it was going. People said this about, they made a joke about Frozen, how, they said, only true love can break the spell and everything. Here is the exact same thing, only true love can break the spell. Within Frozen, they said like, sisterhood, or hey, it was 2 women's true love that actually broke the spell, and it wasn't the same old, guy hero was the one who broke the spell. Okay, Frozen did that first, Maleficent, and Frozen did it better. I'm sorry. Frozen did it much better. I do like that you guys was going the different route. You wasn't taking the same old, it was the hero that slayed the dragon or some, cliche thing. And it's cliche now. Back in 1959, it actually was acceptable, and it's kind of a memorable thing in the original movie. This one here, you can tell it's updated. Like, it's 2014, that stuff is okay now. I didn't care. Like I said, it was done better in Frozen, and it felt more I was gonna say genuine, but these actresses do pretty well. The one playing Aurora is actually, she just smiles and nods, but she's okay. I actually liked her. Prince Philip is exactly the same. This guy is like the living cartoon version. He does fine. Angelina Jolie is possibly, could be the best actress in this movie. For some reason, next to, there's a bus going by. For some reason, the next to her assistant, she's probably is the best. And hold on a sec, just want to check the time. Okay, I've been talking for 16 minutes. She's probably is the best next to her assistant, the guy who plays the Crow. And I like these two. I do. And if you're going to watch this movie, just watch it for Angelina Jolie, and that's about it. If you've seen the trailers, you're pretty much going to get that. If you like the trailer, or if you like say, yeah, I really wanted to see it, then you either already saw it, or you're possibly going to go ahead and go see it anyway, regardless of what I say in this review. I like it better than the Expendables 3, I'll tell you that much. This and Godzilla are probably on par with each other. Besides, what was the other movie that I've seen? I can't think of the other movie right now. Possibly because the camera's on me. And I always get like that in front of the camera. But, okay, I'm just going to end it here. Maleficent, overall, wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it 2.5 out of 4. And that's only because that it did kind of destroy, you know, three good characters that I really liked, man. And you don't do that. They did change Maleficent's character around a lot. They took one of the greatest Disney villains of all time and kind of made her sort of a... I wouldn't say a pansy, but sort of a... Oh, well, she isn't so bad. Yeah, that's great. That's the new millennium. But I will take the old one, thank you very much, and I would enjoy that once again. So, 1959 version, I still think it's superior, even though that both of the movies kind of are low on the story side of things. And this one, I would give it credit for trying to make changes, but the little twist at the end, if you can call it that, was basically something that Frozen did, and it did better. So, watch Frozen, or watch the original Sleeping Beauty, but this one isn't that bad either. Okay guys, so I'm going to review Godzilla next, and I will hopefully see you on that video. If not, take care, and I will see you in another.